Right then. Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Let's do this. Podcast take 1.
We didn't like.
Hello everyone and welcome to the CARpeDM podcast. My name is Tom
I'm Jazz.
and we are passionate petrol heads, car nerds, gear heads, whatever you want to call it, and all the above.
I think that's just reserved for you, mate. I'm just a guy that's along for the ride.
It's nice to have your friends around, isn't it? Let's get straight to it then. So, our time at Le Mans. We have been on together at least 2 occasions now, yeah?
Yeah.
And I have been, one might say, become a veteran Le Mans lover and supporter. I went the first time in 2010 with my dad, I think. And I think I went like maybe 2011, 2014, 2016. And then was supposed to be 2020. We all know what happened in that year, obviously.
COVID. Yeah.
And then obviously went this year with yourself and some friends and my dad. And when have you been?
So I went back in 2022.
Correct.
2 years ago. So that was with you. That was the first time I was exposed to the wonderful haven that is Le Mans.
Yeah.
But after that, I think 2023 we couldn't get the tickets for, right? So we tried to order them, couldn't get them, ran out, and then we went this year. Obviously, the time you went, you took your car, and then this time around I was able to take my car. So
yes. For those of you that don't know it, we both have the same car, which is not going to happen for much longer. I have, a silver EP3 Type R. Video to that on the channel. Make sure you check it out. And Jazz, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent here. We're going to talk about Le Mans, honestly.
Yeah, we will.
But you took one quick drive in my car.
Yeah.
When you were going to try and get something a little bit more German and more rear-wheel drive focused, and I said, just have a go in mine, you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And then you had a go in it, and...
Yeah, I mean, the experience was completely different to what I thought it would be in terms of, driving that kind of car, pound for pound, it smiles all the way. I found that it's one of those cars where you don't have to spend so much to get the enjoyment factor out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of showed me the way there, because initially I was very in tune with my German cars. I was a BMW fan at heart. I've been through the journey from the E36 series all the way to E46, E92, and so for me the F series was going to be the one. But one driving your car, and it just made sense to me. So I think that was again 2021. Then the year after, then I managed to find something after a while.
Yes.
Do you remember the time when we went to that Asda? Was it the Asda car park?
Oh, it was I'll say this, it was a suburb of Leeds beginning with B. I'll leave it there.
We were trying to find a car, right? So I texted you and said, I want to find my Civic Type R, help me find it. And then I remember we went across the web, found a number of ads, and then you being the expert you are, we went out and then did our search, right?
Yeah.
And then we found ourselves in a car park together, waiting for the other guy to arrive. And unfortunately, I think the kind of the reputation that these cars have are the people that drive them, right? So young, very
characters.
Yeah, characters. I'm going to try and be as PG as I can.
Yeah.
But we found that the person who was obviously driving the car wasn't really legit, and so it kind of put me off for a while. And then we found someone, didn't we? After.
So you missed something out though, because we were in the car. we were in the car park, right? And then we thought, okay, we're there in my Type R, just to convey, we kind of know a little bit what we're talking about when we're looking at the car.
Yeah.
Car rocks up, we have a look around it, a little bit rusty, as we all know with the EP3 Type R.
Yeah, very rusty.
But then about 10 minutes after we were there, what came across as a bystander in another Type R. Good old Type R, mate. Oh, yeah. He then pulled up and then started chatting to the guy who was selling it as if he knew him, and it was just a bit like...
Yeah, it got dodgy from there.
We don't really... Anyway, so we'll gloss over that. So yeah,
I'm now proud of another satin grey EP3 Type R.
Satin silver.
Satin silver, not grey. See, as you can tell, this is not my my kind of passion, but
Well, last time I checked my ID, it was in silver. It was the colour code of 0378. It was.
Yeah,
It's not actually, but
it's not. No, and I think being with you has kind of opened me up into this world a little bit. So, first was with the car, and now it's Le Mans, and kind of why we're here really to kind of discuss that process really.
Completely. So, we are going to try and do this as impartially as possible, whilst being honest. We're going to basically do it as a chronological order from when you book the tickets all the way up until you're on the ferry on the way back home.
With some juicy tips, by the way. So
correct.
Trying to kind of give people a bit more of an understanding, anyone who's going for the first time, what to try and avoid, what not to do, because twice in a row now I feel like a bit of a seen as an expert, whereas going through the most extreme parts of what we've done and then going a little bit more relaxed out, and I think we can definitely provide some insight into this process.
Yes, especially from going from a point where I was just a bystander, a bit like yourself when my dad used to book stuff, all the way to then trying to book multiple ferry tickets, 12 passes or whatever it was, and camping plots, yada yada yada. Anyway, so first bit we'll start off with the booking process, trying to bring a group of people together to try and make it happen. There's some parts of this with our own experience that we're not going to comment on. Those of you who are on that trip know exactly what we're talking about. At the same time, so I'll try and paint the picture. It was the back end of 2019.
Yes, it was just before COVID came
Just
through.
before COVID hit.
Yeah.
April in 2020 was my 30th birthday. And I thought, right, okay, I've always wanted to do Le Mans as a big convoy group getaway together. Kind of 3-4 cars, all of us bombing down together, stick it up and everything, the whole 9 yards. So I got a group of people together. How many was there in the end? 8? There
was too many, let's put it that way.
Really?
There was too many people.
I thought 10's a good number.
It is, and I think if you had 10 fans of Le Mans, then it makes sense, but we had a mixture of people who were not in that kind of car racing realm, so...
But we're interested in festivals and all that
kind of
stuff,
and I think another thing is if you're taking your friendship group, you have to have a friendship group that is willing to kind of go into their non-comfort zone, so go outside and feel part of the group, because the people who are in it really do make the experience.
Of course, with anything, absolutely.
You're spending time together, you're camping together, you are going to be sweating together. There's loads of, by sweating I mean standing in really, really, really hot sun, in the sun, and it means then you have to bear with each other. There's patience involved with it, so if you're planning on taking your mates, make sure they're the right ones to take with you, because the next 7, we say 7 days, we went this time, but even if it's 4 days, 3 days, you're going to find out a lot from, what they're like.
The event itself is an endurance race, but even just being as a spectator, it is an endurance event, because it's... So let's say, we'll come to it in a second about what it was actually like the first time we went back in 2022. So originally booked for 2020, COVID then happened, everything got knocked down the road, which then thought, right, okay, how are we going to do it so we make sure we don't lose our money, but then make sure we can still do the trip. 2021 came around, I think it was maybe, I can't remember, I think it was like behind closed doors or something like that, or limited spectators. So I think 2022 was the first year post-COVID when it actually took place. We... trying to do the logistics of pulling the money together, getting the thumbs up from people saying that they want to come, all that kind of stuff. Anyone who does those type of trips and logistics and event coordination, it is just difficult.
Commend them. I would say commend them very well, because to handle that sort of responsibility, not only from booking the tickets, getting the ferries done, it's like trying to be a travel agent, essentially.
But with your best mates.
And it's not always easy trying to chase up your mates for money, it's difficult, but you have a way, and I'm sure you've got,
stubborn as a way.
Some 2 gents with black suits that are waiting to, knock on the door if you don't get your payment, right?
Bailiffs, yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that, but I'll take note of that. We got everything ready and everything. We thought, right, okay, what we're going to do, I want to sticker up the car. I think there's a particular website, we're not sponsored by this, but we'll just say what it is. It's called Stickered Up for Le Mans.
Correct.
And they kind of become available around February, March time of the particular year that you're going. and then have the updated liveries and stickers and everything else. And what did we go for? I think was it a martini, main martini stripe with 24-hour like decal numbers.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other stickers and sponsorship decals and stuff, wasn't it?
I just remembered in the WhatsApp group, you put this link up, and you said that you were going to get some stickers and you needed some time to take out and let's stick them together. So, yeah, I mean, I've been on the website as well, and there's some really good stuff there. So, if you feel like jazzing up your car, then it really does. I know, right? It brings that, that extra level of kind of, oh, I'm feeling part of the event.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, I mean, the prices of the stickers are not that bad, are they?
I think they're good quality stickers.
Yeah.
So, from this very event back in 2022 when we went, my dad still has the stickers on his van 2 years later.
And they haven't peeled off, or they've not bubbled or anything?
Not faded, nothing.
No.
Fair play.
Yeah.
So yeah, we sticking everything up, got my name on and everything, and then what was it? There was me, my wife, and then 2 other friends in our car. There was yourself, 2 other people in his Golf R.
Yeah.
And then there was my dad in his camper van, and we kind of met you guys en route at some services.
Leicester Forest. I remember.
You remember it well, do you?
I know it very well
Okay.
because I think for most people who go down south in the UK, Leicester Forest tends to be the halfway point. I mean, this is for all people from Yorkshire, by the way, and we consider Yorkshire to be anything beyond
Yorkshire!
Junction 27, 28 of the motorway on the M1. That's, the north, let's say.
The north.
Anyone coming down, Leicester Forest is the way to go. It's the one with the bridge, as everyone knows it as, right? So, yeah, we met up there, didn't we? And, we actually got to meet each other because the funny thing was I knew the guys in my car, you knew the people in your car, but we never actually met together.
True.
So it was actually a risk that we had there. That if we didn't,
you're going to find out really quickly if we don't like someone.
if we didn't like each other at that point, then it was going to be a difficult few days, right?
Yeah.
So, fair play again to yourself for putting the right people together.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
But, so, got together,
Yeah.
we exchanged. Me and my wife had made goodie bags for everyone. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Did you give it to us then, or was it?
Yeah. I've been basically we made the sort of things you got as like a 5-year-old kid at someone else's party.
Hollywood Bowl. You get your little, your goodie bag, and then inside it is your whistle, your balloons,
Exactly.
everything.
So I deliberately asked who and worked out who drank and who didn't. For those who drank, I got a bottle of Yorkshire-based brewery IPA or something. We created the T-shirts, which had like Tom's 30th and then the 24-hour Le Mans logo on the back, which is like stenciled with a rattle can and stuff. And things. It's sort of the test of time. Those
I
T-shirts.
still have mine,
Yes,
and I still wear it. It is probably one of the most kind of good quality T-shirts I've had so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I shop at a number of different outlets, and I mean, just to let you know, it was a Primark T-shirt, and
Not sponsored, but other shops are available.
Primark's good for some things, and I've realised that they get the basics very right.
Yeah.
A lot of people, the kind of people that say, "Oh, I'll wear it and I'll chuck it the next day," but I found that T-shirt was really well,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you put the stencils on it as well, and you put your own prints and stuff. I mean, again, another shout out for yourself on that one. I mean, it's just getting that kind of feeling of, we're going to Le Mans, it's all together, really, really put us together on that, yeah.
I mean, so T-shirt, we did the T-shirt, It was a bottle of something and your Le Mans pass and earbuds or defenders, little, like the little squidgy ear things as well.
The foam ones, yeah.
Exactly. It was more a case of like, you're going to need these.
Yeah.
So that was all good fun. And then we kind of went down to the South Coast together. We all rendezvoused at some supermarket car park somewhere when my dad rolled up. And we met Phil.
Sainsbury's it was.
Was it Sainsbury's?
Sainsbury's car park, yeah, near New Haven. It was where we came together.
Excuse me, it was New Haven, wasn't it? And then we, like, well, hey, we're all together now, introducing everyone to another group of people. A lot of you guys hadn't met my dad before.
No.
And he's kind of like, he's a bit like me. He's like, yeah, right, I'll chuck myself. I'm a social chameleon. I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went for a bite to eat quickly and then back to the ferry port. And then when we arrived back at the ferry port, everyone was, you could tell other enthusiasts were getting there. I think it was Wednesday night, wasn't it? So we travelled down on the Wednesday daytime, got to the ferry port, South Coast on the Friday. Start that again. Got to the South Coast on Wednesday night. And at that point, for me at least, that's when the trip properly really starts, because there's other enthusiasts there. They got their cars all stickered up. Some people have clearly brought cars out for the first time maybe that year to just go down to Le Mans, and it's just like, when you go to that sort of place, it's probably when people go to a football match and stuff and you're all walking that last mile to the stadium, it's like everyone is going in the exact same place at the exact same time for exactly the same thing.
You start finding out, like, when you've passed the M1, you've passed the M25, and you're sort of getting onto the A roads, and you're seeing other people that are,
honking the horns and stuff.
honking their horns, they've got the stickers on the cars. I mean, another thing is it's really interesting to see how many Porsche owners also come out, because it's like they hide like wood lice they hide under the floorboards, and then when Le Mans comes out away, then you see all of them in their kind of prime. So you see a lot of 911s, a lot of Carrera 911 GT3s as well. I also saw a number of classic Porsches as well, Caymans, Boxsters. So it really is a kind of a culmination of a lot of enthusiasts coming together, and you don't feel it again until you sort of get closer and closer. I always, think back to, like, say, the ferry port, where you saw the line of cars going into the actual ship, and it was just, enthusiast after enthusiast, cars after cars.
Yeah.
I mean, that process in itself, getting
it's an experience.
through... Yeah, getting through the ferry is not too problematic, though, is it? I mean, let's be honest, it's...
just for context, because this was the 2022 when we went the first time together as a group, we all got through absolutely fine. Then my dad got through, and one of the people who came with us, they'd had their COVID jab done, but just that little bit too early, and there was a brief period, about 5 minutes or so, when we thought, hang on, they're not going to let us through there, because of the way that... Wasn't it a time for travel where you had to have done it in the last 6 months or something like that and stuff?
You had a QR code, didn't you? So you had to carry this code. And when I was traveling through Europe, it was the same thing, where you had to carry the jab certificate, and you had to show people that you've had your jab done. And it was just evident, even after that period of time, that it was still, very much strong in terms of being strict. France was very, very strict for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think we all carried masks just in pockets in case they
told us
and all that kind of stuff.
But,
So then, excuse me, we got on the ferry. Maybe a quick half a pint or something like that.
So,
go on.
You say that. I remember this very well.
Go on.
When we were at Sainsbury's, we were getting snacks, we were getting beers, we were stocking up for a good night ahead. I remember this. And then we got on the ferry, and then...
It was like 11 o'clock ferry or something.
It was very late.
At night.
Yeah, very late. I mean, we've been travelling since like 12 o'clock, so, we had a bit of energy, and then... we decided, let's crack up some beers, let's have a bit of fun. And after 25, 30 minutes, it kind of sunk in that maybe we should get some sleep. Because that ferry wasn't long at all, was it?
Well, short answer, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
We thought, right, okay, let's work out what we're going to do. So, we'll have a couple of beers, it'll be great and everything else. I don't know if the way that I booked it, we always try and do the overnight ferry just because it cancels some... You're still travelling, cancels some time out, means you can maximise the time that you're going to be awake and all that kind of stuff. So we travelled over from Wednesday night, 11 o'clock, and arrived... I thought we were arriving at like maybe 5:30
in the morning.
French time or something, which is not too bad. We actually arrived at like 3:30, which I think was like 2:30 UK time. So it had maybe 3 hours skip.
So the time difference really, we say it's an hour, but it really screws you up anyway. Really, and again, this is coming from, this is probably the first point of a top tip, right?
Yeah.
Is before you arrive, or let's say you're going to Le Mans and you're going with the ferry, take a longer ferry.
Yeah.
I think, getting that rest in before, Le Mans in itself is an endurance event, so you need to have that rest up beforehand, and you'll thank
yourself.
Yeah, you'll thank yourself for it if you take a longer one as well. It's worth the time, and you actually get to get some sleep.
So we got onto the ferry, and we realised quite quickly that we're not going to last that much longer. So let's get some kip. Me and my dad and two other people trying to get some kip in our cabin. Next door is you and two lads from the hockey group. Bonjour, monsieur. Je m'appelle le big dog.
So a really funny thing about this is we have in that friendship group a wide, age range.
Yes.
So there's us who are we're in our 30s now, so we're kind of a little bit more relaxed now. We're more concerned about getting our beauty sleep and getting it out of the way. Whereas we had a quite a young chap. I mean, he was in his early 20s, right?
Bear in mind, we're not going to name his name, but he knows who he is. He's 24 now, 24. And every time I see him, it's like, you're still 18, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's always 18.
Anyone who is more than 4 or 5 years younger than me is still going through puberty. Let's be honest. I go through every year now thinking, God, we're in our 30s, but again, he was actually he was a good sport. And,
he's a brilliant sport.
But yeah, that cabin was really loud that night, and we didn't get sleep. It took an hour to get to sleep, and then amidst the rocking of the boat, which is another thing to watch out for, because as a first timer, it's very nauseating. We'll go through what that does later on when you're on land. The effects of slowly rocking.
Yep.
But what we found that is, we got to sleep, 2 hours, as you said, passed, and then instantly knock on the door, monsieur, and we had to leave straight away. Yeah. And what happened was we almost, we held up the convoy because we hadn't woken up in time.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And so we actually had to run, we had to rush, get up. And when that's the part where you feel really flustered, and that was the start of a very long day ahead. Yeah, as we were about to kind of go through
unintentionally.
Unintentionally, I mean. So
I say time-wise, this is 3:30 in the morning now after 2.5-3 hours kip. Yeah. We got on the cars. We're pretty, when you're wired from excitement and anticipation, adrenaline. Yeah. This event has been knocked on for 2 years because of COVID and everything. We were buzzing. We were absolutely buzzing for it. So we all pile into cars, and then we pull off at some service station, maybe an hour later into France. Actually, before we say that, there was actually some great pictures, and I think it was from your car. It might have been you taking the pictures of my car sticking up with martini stripes and my dad's van in martini stripes side by side on the highway. That was pretty cool. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was just coming up. Yeah. It was like there are worse places to be.
Yeah, we just got onto the toll roads. So another thing to watch out for, toll roads in France. So if you want to take the most direct route to Le Mans, then you would have to take toll roads. Mm. But the good thing about it is that, especially when you're landing at that time in the morning, it's very quiet.
And the roads are dead smooth.
Yeah, I mean...
puts our UK's massively to shame.
French roads. I think Europe just has it
it's just
button on point, right? Yeah. The roads are smoother, and you don't have to worry about your tyres being absolutely pounded away by potholes.
Or your back.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember that picture being taken. That was actually Alex that did that. Yeah. He was in the passenger seat. I was driving, still trying to get to understand the other side of the road, because being on the right hand side, for me, spatial awareness, it's always off kilter when you're driving on the wrong side.
Speaking of your spatial awareness, those who are in this car and those who are witnessing, you know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
There was a moment, when you got your sat nav all set up and you're like, in your convoy, right, okay, everyone, we're going to turn off at this junction, and then we thought, flipping hey, Jazz is really going at some speed in the outside lane. I think it went to 3 lanes briefly, and we were indicating to come off, and like, he's going to miss the turn-in. And then I have never seen either a lane change or a set direction, directional change as quickly and aggressively as you did in that morning. I'm on good authority from the people in that car that they literally saw their life flash before their eyes, going from outside lane to the slipway, which is about 4 lanes wide.
Yeah. So I'm a Bradford boy, right? So the driving style was very Braffordian, and
yes,
if you remember the scene out of Fast and Furious 1 where the Honda Civic goes underneath the truck, there was 2 trucks. There was one in front and one behind. There was a bit of a gap, and you guys were getting off the junction already, and I thought, we need to get off here, otherwise we're going to miss on time. And I had this internal competition in my mind that I wanted to be in front always. Yep. So I was already in that racing mindset, and that was I don't recommend it. It's not...
Take the lad out of Bradford.
You can take the lad out of Bradford, but not the Bradford out of the lad, right? But no, I scared a few people. But good thing to know, 4-wheel drive in a Golf R works very well. the traction, can't deny it. It was really well put together.
I think you made Alex have some skid marks of his own.
Yeah. It was his car as well. So the fact that he felt that was also strange. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, it was.
Not even at the trip yet. And then so by comparison, it's probably worth touching on the comparison of what we did between 2022, which is what we're on about now, against what we did this year. So this year that we went, we thought we want to do a bit of World War II sight and seeing and everything else. It was the 80th anniversary of the D-day landings. So, and also on top of that, taking a longer ferry. So we went from Portsmouth to Cherbourg this time.
Yep.
And went kind of through, I'm going to try and not butcher this pronunciation too much, St. Mary-Église to past Omaha Beach, which is near the Bayeux, and then towards Caen as well. Doing the World War II stuff. We're not going to talk about it too much and stuff, but it's probably get my dad and do his own bloody podcast about World War II stuff, isn't he? Because he loves his World War II, does my dad?
Yeah, he was our tour guide.
He was pretty much a good, yeah. And even though I was learning new stuff, I kind of knew the John Matthews way, should we say? You guys hadn't been around that before, so I remember getting a picture looking like you and other people on the trip like, is it really John? Oh, like mine's slightly blown with it. Like in fairness, it is astounding, the actual history of like the scale of it, the amount of people that were in part of the invasion and the timings and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
it was to have your dad kind of go through that, and to be honest, we learned about it in school, and
it's one thing in school.
Yeah, one thing in school, actually going to France on a trip, and then coming back later in life, and then actually taking a moment to sink in about, like you said, what happened at the time. But it gives you a little bit of a reflection, right? I thought it was a really good way of bringing the trip to a point, because there was the, let's think, let's go through these.
Reflect, take time out your routine and everything.
And it formed parts of the road trip. So the really good thing about it is that when you get off at the port, you can actually go along the beaches in a very methodical way. And then once you've come on the end of, I think it was Sword or Juno Beach, I think.
That's more east.
Yeah. So once you've
got I think Utah. It's historians, don't bite our head off in the comments. Utah, to us at least, Utah, Omaha, Sword and Juno.
Yeah. So once we've gone to Juno, then you take the bridge down, and then pretty much it's a straight shot to Le Mans. And I think again a really good way of, if you really want to make a trip out of this, is take that, do that as well. I think it's a really good, it's a very cost-effective way as well. I mean,
to cram in,
cram it all in. Yeah. Did very well, by the way, and keeping the budget on.
Yeah, I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah. Well, we can go into some of it as well if you want, in terms of the kind of financials, but we can do that on another podcast maybe, or even another, even like a...
Because there was a definite increase in pricing between the first time we went and this time. And weirdly, not so much by the tickets, a little bit by tickets, but actually more by ferry tickets. But anyway, for another time. When again, not paid promotion, but I personally would highly recommend the Airborne Museum in St. Mary-Église. Do you remember the museum we went to? Yeah,
that was good. Yeah.
It's a typical British. I rocked up to the front gate and I went, "How much to get in?" It was only like €11.50 or €11.50 or something. Yeah. But the way it's done. So if you've been to Cape Canaveral in America, it's done in that way. Everything's real. Everything's massive. Everything's the real thing as well. As in, like, I won't give too much away, but like the first building, I think, is the occupation, i.e., Nazi Germany occupying France. And the first thing you go in is something the size of this flag here. It is a genuine Nazi flag.
I remember that.
It's the first thing, and it's kind of like, and it's obviously bright red, and it's well kept. It's kind of like, that's quite imposing, that. Anyway, that's for another time and stuff. But yeah, highly recommend the stuff that we did on the North Coast.
Yeah.
So, next little bit. You've done either your overnight ferry, preferably a longer one. You're on your way to Le Mans. The first time we went in 2022, it was, crikey, we got there maybe 9 o'clock at the Carrefour supermarket.
Yeah.
We had, put it this way, after not much sleep and being high on adrenaline, we were like, right, okay, we're going to do food shopping, and we go, right, Jazz, you and you guys are going to do breakfast items, you, you're going to go and do beverages, you and you go and do food.
This is where we slowed down in terms of our thought pattern.
We all got trolleys each, and we kind of all, before we decided that, we kind of just stood in the entrance area to the supermarket, and after about 30 seconds, I was kind of going,
what do we get?
My dad just jumped in. It's like, right, okay, you guys are going to do da-da-da-da-da. You guys are going to, it's like, right, okay, just a bit of direction. He actually backed off after that. So we were like, right, okay, yeah, we'll go and do that.
We needed a project manager in that group. And that project manager came forward and he told everyone what to do, specifically what to get.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's figuring out, you're going to be camping together for 3-4 days. How are you going to be, kind of allocating breakfast, lunch, dinner? Because again, it's not cost effective to be buying food at Le Mans. It's not cheap at all. No. So definitely camp up on your food. Make sure you've got, if you've got the facilities to cook in the campsite, recommend it. Not only is it cheaper, but it brings everyone together as well, right?
Yeah, it was an unplanned group activity.
Yeah, and so you find out who's good at what as well.
There was a particular moment. Funnily enough, the same younger lad. Again, he will remain nameless, who kept you up all night, and what did he say? He goes, I think you or Alex had picked up an item, and this lad just looked at them and went, it's not a breakfast approved item, it's not what John said, i.e. my dad and stuff. And that comment proliferated throughout the entire rest of the trip. If it was like, oh, can we get this? Like, no, it's not John approved. That's not John approved.
He was really kind of channeling the spirit of John in the trip. So we were kind of being told off for trying to buy.
You know who you are. We love you to bits and we always will do. But
exactly.
It was still funny.
But he was very, he was channeling that spirit. And funnily enough, he kept us on point when it came to the shopping trip. Yeah, I remember that trip, and another kind of tip that you're going to find when you go to a supermarket in Europe in general.
Yeah.
When you do go and you do start to measure out your vegetables and your fruits, make sure if there is a facility, you print out the label. You need to put it in the scale, put the label on the bag, and then the cashier scanner will then scan that bag. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. Us being the
facial expression of that checkout attendant.
We put all of our limes, our lemons into one bag, and then it was just an absolute disaster.
It was.
Translating French, it was just, So if you do go into a supermarket, do watch out for them. This time around, we didn't kind of come across that. But
no, so this time around, what did we do? We kind of went shopping we did it on the North Coast.
Yeah.
We did, I think, in light of what happened last time, we thought, right, okay, let's preempt it. Let's get everything we need right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, me trying to get extra food for a reason that you guys didn't know at the time. But yeah, it was much better and better organised this time around, I think.
Yeah.
And then when we got there in 2022, we got the tent up. We were all very excited and stuff. And probably just to kind of bookend a little bit on the 2022 period, the 2022 time that we went, we were awake from about 3 a.m. until about midnight.
Yeah, we didn't have any sleep during the day.
We had a long 21 hour day, and we were exhausted by the end of it, but it was a good day and everything. But yeah, we were properly spent by the end of that day.
Yeah.
Which didn't set us up for the rest of the weekend very well.
Slowing down is probably the biggest positive we did this time around, because you've got a lot of things to do when you get to site. I mean, firstly, getting into the realm or the town of Le Mans, there's a lot of traffic.
Once you get in, and then again into the circuit itself,
then
it gets even more like you can't go that way, you can go that way, on routes that Google Maps would typically say, yeah, you can.
Google Maps is useless in this regard. Yeah. Follow the signs, get yourself into the vicinity of the area, and then you'll start to see all the kind of volunteers that are there, and then they'll be guiding you in. And I mean, even still then, the number of volunteers is quite significant in that event, I found. I mean, getting through there and getting onto your campsite and then unpacking and all that, it's wise to get it over and done with as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Because then then you can kind of rest and chill out after that.
And then by comparison, so this time, for my birthday this year, my dad actually painted these. He's got a couple of the ones that he used for his birthday a couple of years ago. But these ones I think it was a bit of a project for him. So if you can see, it's got Steve McQueen here from that poster from. Don't need to move. It's all right. Yeah. Thanks, so mate. From that moment at the end of the original Le Mans film, not the Ford versus Ferrari with Christian Bale and Matt Damon. And then this one is, I think it was not even a picture, but it's like, one of those artist impressions of what Le Mans and a Porsche 917 looks like.
It's definitely better than what I can do.
But no, it's like it was done, the picture, that's from the actual poster. This one is from a computer-generated version. And then my dad then did it on a projector, stenciled it out, and then painted it up. Anyway,
very nice.
Thanks for that, Dad. Do appreciate it. But that's what's adorning our makeshift studio, should we say, this time round. But the whole point of this was then put this up around the campsite when we got set up. So you got paint the picture. We went into, the first time in 2020 went to Who Annex, I think it was.
Is that the campsite name?
Yeah.
Right.
And then this time around we went to Prairie because we couldn't get into Who Annex. We arrived there. It took us a little bit while to work out where exactly it was, but that was fine. We got there in the end. We went through, immediately into the campsite. We got there and we thought, okay, there's not much of a sense of a gravel road. It is literally a farmer's field, which is okay most of the time, but with that kind of plastic, basically like bigger doormats as like the little driveway bit.
We talk about this time we went...
Correct,
right, yeah. So Prairie, that's an interesting site. So, I mean, just to kind of briefly touch on how these kind of campsites have been growing and how Le Mans have been kind of adapting to these larger crowds. So the one we went to last time was a lot better put together. The land was well trimmed. You could get a car in and car out. Yeah, it looked like it was an official area.
Yeah.
Prairie, on the other hand, was not so much official. It didn't feel official.
No.
Felt like
Mr. Farmer.
Yes, they just opened up a gate and said, you know what, park your cars in there.
Yep.
And for dry weather, it's fine. But as we will find out, as we go through the story, it didn't get, it wasn't dry, let's say.
Well, speaking of the initial negative bit of it being dry, we arrived there. It had clearly just been cut, the grass and everything. Freshly cut. And out of the 8 of us that were there this time, the 2 people that suffered heavily was Tweedledum and Tweedledee here. Onto the sufferers. Yeah. The hay fever and the pollen density on that in that first hour that we were there is the worst I've ever literally ever experienced. Yeah, it was beyond me. It was there were people trying to set up tents and stuff, and meanwhile, me and Jazz are sat in chairs just kind of like, Jazz, this is terrible.
So you were very, very bad, and then I don't know if it was like infectious, but I got progressively worse and worse, and but what we found out, and then this is when you spoke to your mum, that this is a top tip again, Vaseline sticking up your nostril
and coating it,
it actually slows down, it calms you down, because I think it catches the pollen that goes into your nose, right into your airways.
But so I remember we did it and I think I showed you, a bit like, and then things are literally like about 30 seconds. I was like, mate, that feels bad. Next up, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very skeptical when it comes to people giving like that kind of advice. I mean, my mum, when so apparently, and again, this has have to be confirmed, if you take the local honey of the area, which is suffering... I have
heard that since then.
But that's never worked, and I've never been able to find a beekeeper in the area. I always just go to... Yeah, here, I would go to my local co-op, but no, it didn't work out. But, the hay fever was really bad. I mean, again, if you're a sufferer of that allergy, then be prepared to stock up on your, antihistamines and your Vaseline now that we've told you. And get yourself through the day.
After we got the tent up this time round, the Leviathan that tent is, I think it's a great bit of kit.
Yeah, it was. I think it was vast. An 8-man tent or something like that.
Something like that.
And then
8 person. Let's be.
Sorry. And then it was only 3 or 4 of us that were in that tent. Actually, no. You decided to stay with your dad this time in the van, didn't you?
I'm grateful.
So, if you don't know, Tom's dad has basically got a van that's been converted right into like this kind of camper van style. It's a Ford Transit with loads of.
It's technically a VW Crafter.
Is it a VW Crafter? I thought it was a Ford.
Yeah.
It was a VW, right? You're right. Yeah.
It was other person.
Yeah, you're correct. But it had a bed, it had a little kitchen, it had like a little sitting area, solar charger. I mean, if you got one of them, I mean, camping's really easy, right?
Yeah.
But again, sleeping in Le Mans, that's another thing entirely.
Yeah.
Lack of sleep, you mean? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we rocked up, we set everything up and everything. It was kind of like, right, okay, let's go to let's get have a bite to eat. We cooked ourselves a bloody good meal, I think, last time we were there.
Yeah.
And then that thing for me is just the final touch on the camping bit. Having a tent that you can stand up in and eating well makes it's everything for me, at least, is for camping.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going up Scafell Pike or wherever it might be, Himalayas, of course you have something that you can carry with you, but if there's a way to make it more luxurious and that you can, you guys, this guy, bedding, so in fairness, you fairly justified. So hopping back to the 2022 trip, the other two guys that were in your tent, they had fold-out camp beds.
Yeah.
You, by comparison, had a thermarest about ye thick on a really hard, solid mud ground. Yeah. There was a time, I have a picture in my mind of when I would come out in the morning, about 7:30 in the morning, the tent's like this and his feet are like this at the bottom in his sleeping bag.
So I haven't been camping for a while, and I thought I'd take advice from a good friend of mine who's been backpacking in like South America, in Asia. So he gave me a thermarest, or something like the thermal layer on the bottom, then a sleeping bag, and then a pillow. You get them from like Mountain Warehouse, right? And
pillow.
Yeah, I say pillow. Over the course of that week, I was filling it with clothes, dirty clothes, mind you, because I just couldn't it was just not comfortable. And again, if there's something that I would really recommend in this situation,
pillows.
Bring a pillow from home. Bring a duvet, and bring yourself an inflatable mattress, because the more you can make it feel like home, the better you will feel. You will get more sleep. You'll feel more energized in the morning. And there's nothing that, more you want to feel like than having that kind of setup.
Yeah.
Again, you were talking about camping in general. I mean, access to toilets, access to showers, very important as well, I think.
And depending upon if you go to a well-established one like Huanix, then you know for a fact that you'll get decent showers, decent toilets, everything else. Prairie this time, okay, they had 2 lots of toilets and shower blocks.
Too far. They were too far.
Too far away, yeah.
Yeah, compared to the one we had before, not only were they too far, but the amount of people that are in that campsite, they should have split the toilets better.
So for those who don't know, Prairie is basically, it's 2 fields, one higher and one lower. The one that we were on was the lower one, and that, as we will discuss in a bit, basically was a floodplain. Yeah,
people have taken to, let's say, weeing all over the perimeter.
Yeah.
And so
that wasn't the only. Yeah, in fairness,
that was one of the big ones I saw. I mean, as soon as we got there,
taking the piss.
Yeah, just go for a whiz in the nearest bush, and as time goes on, you get to see the effects of that
and smell.
And the smell, yeah. So not the best of places, I think.
So I worked it out. I actually took the sticker off my dad's van that the sort of green circular sticker, and I put it on inside of my car now, just more like hey, I've been and everything. That was number 393.
Yeah.
So yours will have been 394, whatever it is.
It was, yeah.
That gives you an idea. That's how many, I would say maybe another 50, so max 450 cars alone. So that's 450 pitches.
Yeah.
Work out, and then each pitch was, I think it's maybe about 150 quid. You do the math in terms of how much money. And we're going to come on to money in like the Le Mans as a business and as an event and how it works, and it's changed financially for both the spectators and clearly what the people higher up the food chain are probably going to be getting as a compensation package, should we say, in terms of payments. But we'll come to that in a second. So, on this time, let's talk a little bit about the racing. So, Hyperpole this year, first time we went, you got to bear in mind as well, 2022, the cars in the hypercar class, there was Toyota, Glickenhaus,
Alpine,
and there was one. It was basically an LMP1 car that had been converted into a hypercar, and That was it. There was maybe 7 or 8 cars.
Yeah.
This time, though, there was
A smorgasbord of
16,
manufacturers.
17 hypercars across about 8 manufacturers.
Yeah.
As a racing spectacle, it was epic.
Yeah, like we definitely had a really good spectacle that night. I mean, I remember the pole racing, and we picked sides, or we picked teams, didn't we, at the time?
Before,
so,
yeah, like who's going to get it?
Who were you again?
Cadillac.
So you were Cadillac. I was Team BMW.
Yeah.
And then Team BMW had a bit of an upset that night.
Yeah, it did a bit, yeah.
So and then I quickly had to go to Team Porsche. Not a Glory supporter at all, but again, seeing the Hertz team and also seeing is it Penske Porsche, I think. Oh, they were a great set of events going on there. I mean, let's be honest. What also happened in the event was the
crash.
The crash, yeah.
Go on, you take it.
So, I mean, as we know, the Hertz Porsche team, they had number 12 car that was had a chassis, right, that was very, very well put together, a very specific chassis.
Go on to the timing of when the crash happened.
Yeah.
So Thursday afternoon-ish.
It was, yeah.
And then how quickly they had to turn things around.
So that chassis takes, from the factory, about 3 weeks to put together, 3-4 weeks to put together.
Yep.
The team had crashed that car and had basically broken the chassis, right? Mm-hmm. And that car had to be built back again within 12 or 24 hours, I think it was.
I think, and those of you who attended and everything else, if we get any of this wrong, please tell us what actually happened. But from what I understand, excuse me, they crashed the car in practice 3 on Thursday afternoon. Penske Porsche then either loaned them or gave them a chassis, and then they had to basically get it done and dusted by no later than Friday night. The team managed to do a 3-week job.
Yeah.
In, I want to say, like 18 hours.
18 hours. So
I saw an interview with Jenson Button, who was part of the team, the car that crashed.
Right,
he didn't crash it though, but he basically said in the space of 24 hours they had a 1 hour and 15 minutes skip, the entire team.
And then on top of that, then they would, because they had to keep the car within the grounds of the racing area or in just general Le Mans, only place they could test it was the runway.
The airfield.
The airfield.
And there's some great pictures that someone clearly took of. You can see it's on the runway. It's raining, so that the spray from the aero and everything.
Yeah.
There's a picture of this Porsche 963 zooming at speed with Cessna single prop aeroplanes.
Yeah.
It's just epic. Absolutely, hats off to the team that did that.
I mean, yeah, that car was put together so well, and again, it just shows how with that hard work and the fact that in that event, a lot of kind of, like, I don't want to say miracles, but a lot of, almost impossible things just turn out to be possible, And, that night was a marvel in itself to see. And then, obviously, Cadillac Racing had a good time, didn't they?
I think it was, what's his name? Is it Sebastian Bordeaux? I don't know. The French driver who was driving the yellow Cadillac. I know, that's probably terrible for me to not know that off the top of my head. I'm tired. They were on pole for age, and it was kind of like, oh my God, they're actually gonna do it. And then, what's his name? Kevin Estre.
Yeah.
Literally, I think he crossed the line with about 30 seconds. No. He crossed the line with maybe 30 seconds left on the clock to then do a last dash lap. He then got pole.
He did.
And then with going back a little bit, with about 3 seconds to go, what's his name? Who was in the Porsche?
Oh, I can't remember his name, but yeah,
anyway.
that team.
Yeah, that's maybe it was Kevin Estre in the Porsche. Sorry, I'm getting the teams mixed up.
It could be.
There's 160 drivers.
Yeah.
Give me a break. They literally. It was like Cadillac was already on pole with about 90 seconds left. Then another Cadillac, passed over the start-finish line with 30 seconds left, and then they were on pole. And then literally when he thought, oh, no one's going to top that at all and stuff, this Porsche, the only Porsche left in Hyperpole,
Yep.
took pole by about half a second.
Yeah, it was
literally out of nowhere.
It was these are the moments that where Le Mans can really surprise you.
Yeah.
It's not the case where things are just as you see it. It's anything can happen at one moment's notice, and yeah, that was a really good highlight,
wasn't it?
It
was brilliant. I think we were all buzzing, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean that was pretty late at night as well. It was around 10:30, 11 o'clock. I can remember.
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, what a way to finish it.
And then to be fair as well, you also got a little surprise, didn't you? From so
Yeah.
so Alex, who came with us in 2022, he couldn't come to the whole trip, but said that he wanted to come. And then when I asked him, saying, "Right, okay, you definitely committing?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm committing." So I bought a ticket for him. Then he got about a week later. I go, "Just out of interest, mate, have you told any of the lads that you're coming?" And he went, "No, I haven't yet."
No,
Why?
he didn't. I told him about my stickers at the time.
Yeah.
So after I'd stickered up the car, I was going to show you, but then I thought
For this, is this for the yeah
for this year, So I thought, no, I'm not going. I'm going to wait for the surprise.
Yeah.
Then I sent pictures to Alex, and Alex was just like, "Yeah, boy,
Yeah, boy. I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss this, guys.
like, I'm really looking really good. It's going to be a shame." And I thought, it is what it is.
I remember saying to him, I said, "Does anyone else know?" And he went, "No." And I said, "Right, okay, well, should we have a little bit of fun of our own then? Let's not tell him at all."
You played very well, by the way, because I had no idea that he wasn't coming along, and then he surprised us. Yeah, we were.
That video is one of my favourite videos from the trip.
We were on the grandstand, so we was like near the grandstand, and then we were completely oblivious. And I just remember your dad just poking, just kept touching me, and I was like, "What's going on here?" And then I turn around, and then it's just that shock and that kind of feeling of, how you made it finally and that kind of thing. I really liked that, and
it was nice.
Yeah, you've got a knack for recording moments like that. Same thing you did with Santa Pod as well. The first Nitro drag race. It was yeah.
Oh yeah, you were cursing under the sun last time. I remember when you saw that in person.
Yeah.
There'll be another podcast for that another time. But if you haven't experienced a Top Fuel dragster launching together at the same time, it is probably the most physical and visceral experience you'll ever experience, I would say.
Yeah.
That can be discussed before the watershed, at least.
For sure.
So what's next? I think we're looking at, what was it? So Hyperpole's happened on the Thursday, Friday. When we went to Le Mans in 2022, that Friday, or it's known as Mad Friday, that was my highlight of that trip.
The previous one.
That day, It was sunny. It was like 25, 30 degrees. We were all up for a good time. We already started drinking. We did a pit walk in the morning.
Yeah.
We thought, right, okay, let's go for the driver's parade. We got there a little bit late, which is fine. But if you've ever been to the city centre square at Le Mans in good weather, it was a proper party atmosphere.
Yeah, so the whole kind of vibe over there was really inclusive, and it was not only just the drivers' parade where everyone was together and they were throwing freebies out to everyone left, right, and centre. But it was the
T-shirt cannons.
The cannons, but just in general the whole kind of vibe. It was almost like a little concert, and there was a DJ booth. I think Corvette sponsored that because it was like a little port cabin, right?
Yeah.
And then we had all the square itself, and last time we did it was great, and this year it felt.
Jazz and I hope you really enjoyed this episode. We certainly enjoyed making it. Part 2 will be going live next week. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of when it goes live, and we will see you soon.